order, design, composition, tone, form, symmetry, balance.
Mandy Patinkin, as George Seurat, is referring to the classical artistic ideals he's using to paint a Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grande-Jatte, but they apply just as well to the art of tattoo. Historically, the Western world of fine art rejected tattooing as an art form, but recently there's been a shift towards a wider worldview. Tattoos were used to show class, tribe, or lineage, but now they are being utilized for a new purpose: art. Tattoos are extraordinarily popular, with about 1/5 of the population having one, and the art world is taking notice. Museums such as the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts and the Musée de Coiffre in Paris recently displayed exhibitions revolving around tattoos. In 2006, an art piece was created by Belgian artist Wim de Voy, in which he tattooed the back of Tim Steiner and signed it. It sold for £150,000, or nearly $200,000. At the end of the day, a tattoo is a painting done in pigment, ink, charcoal, crushed up bugs, etc., on skin, an agreement between artist and buyer. There's been a decrease in the popularity of flash tattoos, ones easily replicated and shared between artists. You know, the common ones often displayed on the walls of parlors. And towards much more intensive processes, in which an artist might spend 40 hours on a single piece, developing a relationship with their client and costing up to thousands of dollars. However, tattoo artists must be able to let go of their work, for once the piece is done, the client will leave and take their art with them. Additionally, tattoos as art have a built-in expiration date. What do you do when the tattoo die? Some believe that skin preservation techniques might be used to hold on to tattoos after death, which has already been explored in cases such as Otzi the Iceman. This might sound quite sinister, and children's author Roald Dahl even published a short story exploring this idea. But, in reality, it would most likely be used by families or friends wanting to hold on to something that made the loved one special, similar to displaying an urn. An example of this is Otzi, the aforementioned mummified Iceman who was found on the border of Austria and Italy. His tattoos were naturally preserved by the freezing temperatures of the mountainous region in which he was found, and then further protected by the scientists who discovered his corpse. The nature of Otzi's story is intriguing not only for its murderous tale, but the fact that he is the oldest mummy found to have a primitive tattoo, healed incision marks filled with charcoal. Some tattoo artists aren't thrilled about the idea of skin preservation. Maxime Bouchy, a London-based tattoo artist and magazine editor, believes that the value of a tattoo lies in the fact that it does not belong to the artist in that way. Its value is that it will die with you. Tattoos may be controversial, but they are certainly art. Well, I know there's a lot of needles, and I think it pushes the ink into your skin and dyes your skin in a way. I don't know how to describe it. I think it's because it's in your pores. Is this a thought you've had before? A thought you might even believe in? Have you ever stopped and thought about how tattoos work? What makes its ink permanent? To begin the process, the ink is injected into the skin via needles at rates between 50 to 3,000 times a minute. In many cultures, this method of stick and poke was used to create the meaningful designs that so characteristically adorned its native people.
Hand-carved needles, known as nifo. Each comb of needles is about 1 to 2 inches wide and has around 30 to 40 teeth. Today, they use metal, but in the past, this fine-toothed comb was made from a bird's beak, a boar's tooth, or barbs from a fishtail. Fixed to a long wooden handle, the nifo is tapped with a striking stick.
More common nowadays is the electric tattoo machine.
I used to think that a tattoo machine came to a single needle point and an injected ink under the skin. It's actually multiple needles and they're grouped together for lining. However, for shading, it's more like a paintbrush. Ink is held in between those multiple needle points using capillary action, and when it punctures the skin, it drags the ink down into the dermis. Here, this motor has rotational motion, and it's translated to linear motion here at the needle bar. That's pretty simple, right? Coil machines, however, are a bit more complicated. When Leah steps on this foot pedal, that direct current is applied to the two coils. This turns those coils into an electromagnet and it pulls this armature bar down, moving the needle. When the armature bar moves down, it breaks the circuit away from the contact screw, and that causes the electromagnetic field to collapse. The spring then returns the armature and it re-energizes the circuit. This just happens over and over again.
Tattooing has taken many forms throughout its development and was seemingly unique to each group, but the fundamental concept remained consistent. The ink penetrates the epidermis, also known as the outer layer of skin, and settles into the dermis, the inner layer. However, ink's permanence is not just because it's injected deep into the skin. It's actually a product of an autoimmune reaction. White blood cells, also referred to as macrophages, detect the ink and identify it as a foreign invader. In an attempt to heal the needle wounds and disinfect the area, the macrophages gobble up the ink. When the cells consume ink, they undertake the same color as the ink they swallowed. So, if you're tattooed with red ink, the macrophages will consume the dye and then turn red. If you're tattooed with blue, the macrophages will turn blue, and so on. Once this process, known as phagocytosis, is complete, the macrophages get trapped in the dermis because of its gel-like structure. This prevents the cells from diffusing through the membranes to be disposed of. Cells in the epidermis last for 2 to 3 weeks before they are shed, along with their ink. This is why tattoos appear to fade from when they were initially done, because the resulting tattoo image is projected by colored cells in the inner dermis. Have you ever wondered what exactly the ink being injected into your skin is, though? Funny enough, most inks nowadays are not technically inks at all. They're metal salts suspended in a carrier solution. The metals used vary depending on the color of the ink and its supplier. Many combinations are kept as trade secrets by companies that produce ink. The metal salt pigment provides a tattoo color, while the carrier keeps pigment mixed evenly and disinfects the metal salt. Other examples of colors and their pigments include violet ink being made from a chemical called manganese violet, which is actually less stable than typical black inks and can lose color after prolonged sun exposure. Black ink is commonly made from iron oxide or carbon.
Red color and black color comes from iron oxides. Yellow comes from cadmium, and green from chromium.
The practice of applying ink to the body has been around for millennia and present in a variety of different cultures of the ancient and modern world. Body art has been adorned for a variety of reasons over time, to mark social status, to heal illnesses, or to relieve pain, or as symbols of initiation. Body art was, and still is, used to mark coming of age or to commemorate other significant life events. The word tattoo originates from the Samoan word tatau, which means to strike in.
For Polynesians, getting inked has never been just for show. Tattoos define your role in society. They tell who you are, what you do, battles you've won, men you've killed. Polynesians believe that the right tattoo is like a shield that protects them from bodily harm and evil spirits. For an adolescent, enduring the first tattoo is a rite of passage into adulthood.
It was a sign of
In ancient Egypt, hieroglyphic texts and statues found in pharaohs' tombs have shown the application of dotted patterns around the abdomen of women who are pregnant or menstruating. These tattoos functions as talisman to safeguard women during pregnancy and childbirth. Ancient Greeks and Romans used tattoos and stigmata marks to show that someone belonged to a religious group. The ancient Scythians and Thracians of ancient Europe used body art as a testimony of high social class, to show off and demonstrate their nobility. However, not all cultures saw tattooing as a positive art form. In ancient China, the tattoo, or wenchen, was considered a barbaric practice and certainly not for artistic pleasure. They are mentioned in ancient Chinese literature and texts when speaking of bandits and criminals. It was common practice to ink the word prisoner on convicted criminals' faces as a sort of precursor to the branding, so that the convict was permanently associated with the crime they committed. In Papua New Guinea, girls received the first tattoo at age 5. At age 21, the young woman would get a large V-shaped tattoo across their chest in an important and intricate ritual to mark them eligible for marriage, and the passage from girl to woman. The Maori of New Zealand received tattoos at different stages of life, as a rite of passage or to make men look more desirable and attractive to the opposite sex. Maori women, on the other hand, have tattoos around the nose and lips for beautifying purposes. Tattoos were also used for cosmetic purposes, as Maori women claim it prevents the skin from wrinkling, helping them to stay youthful and attractive. Captain James Cook's voyages to the South Pacific brought the practice of tattooing back to Europe, where they were commonly seen on coal miners and sailors as a talisman of protection to keep them safe from their dangerous line of work. As technology progressed, the art of tattooing changed. Thomas Edison allowed for electricity to be harnessed and utilized, which in turn allowed for innovation to thrive in New York in 1891. Originally, it was used to identify soldiers during the Civil War. However, in modern-day tattooing, it has become a rite of passage for many adults in Western society as a way to permanently display who they are and what they stand for. Memorial tattoos are particularly powerful in the message they deliver. The tattoo process, while painful, serves as a way for many to express that pain which has been bottled up inside of them, sometimes for decades even. With the new tattoo, many feel as if the spirit of one being memorized is now with them at all times and gives them the strength needed to carry on with their lives. Tattoos have been around for many centuries and they are showing no signs of fading into history. Permanent body art has taken a variety of uses over the course of history, either as a mark of individuality, like in modern society, or to signify that one belongs to a specific group. Receiving a tattoo has always been an almost spiritual experience that requires the endurance of physical pain in exchange for a permanent mark of beauty, protection, or status.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down.